Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Monday, the 4th of January, 2021. I remember the new year. I'm Dakian. I'm here to ramble about miniatures. And if you've been following along, you'll realize I've been working on this little baby for quite some time. But I consider her finished. As finished as she's going to be. Right now, anyway. For my first attempt at a 72mm scale model, I think it's okay. It's not perfect. It's far from perfect. There's a lot of imperfections here. But it was a learning experience. Oh, and I put her little bag of presents on a separate base because it would not fit on this one. Yeah. I'll have to. It's difficult to tell what it really looks like when I'm just looking at it like this. I'll have to see when I play back the footage and the still pics. I'll notice all the little mistakes, all the things I'll have to fix next time I paint something this big. But anyway, she's done, and she's done before the 13th day of Christmas. So, you know, almost in season. Let's move on to other stuff I finished. And here we have some smaller figures. Now, they don't go together very well, but I finished the Komodo dragon really quickly because it's very simple. It's just a few colors. I looked up what real Komodo dragons look like online, and they're extremely boring. Most pictures were just a muddy brown color. There were a few very, very pale green ones. I went with a somewhat slightly brighter green than would be naturalistic. So it's a fantasy Komodo. Well, not much else to say really about that. Then we have the various Alices. Again, not really much to say. These two sculpts, which are very similar except for the shoes, are a little odd. I don't know if you can tell at this angle, but they're sculpted with their tongues sticking out, or it's like they're licking their upper lip with their tongue, and it's very hard to paint that so it comes across as anything other than kind of a pimple on her mouth. I don't know if I've succeeded. But anyway, they have little dolls and the guns, and it looks okay now. For some reason, I had an immense problem with the blue paint I used on this one. It kept cracking on me. I don't know why. I've used that paint before. It didn't behave like that. I suppose it was something to do with the priming. But it's odd because I primed them all the same way. And then we have the cat, the Alice with the cat. And the Alice with the knife. Hiding her knife behind the back there. So, pretty good for just a few days since the last video. Oh, almost forgot. One little thing I wanted to point out, I'm proud of myself for, is these bases, the leaves, they're dead. The yellowed leaves. See, I realized I'd fallen into a rut where I automatically painted all leaves green. But I realized when looking at these that, hey, these are fallen leaves. They've maybe been there a while. They should be a different color. So, there we go. Well, here's some prep stuff. In the back you can see the stuff that's been worked on the longest. They've got some base coats on them now, the lizard folk and the demogorgon. This is not something I always do, but when I'm unsure of the paint scheme, I sort of rough in some base colors to see what it's supposed to look like, and then I can refine it from there. Now for these guys in front, they've just been primed. I've got some demons and some dark elves, so I primed them black because they're going to be very dark, all of them. Now, it might look like the primer hasn't taken in some places because it turns out the Vallejo Surface Primer Black is kind of shiny. Well, not glossy, but it's definitely not dead matte. It does reflect a bunch of light. So I went over it by brush with some German gray as well, just to get some spots that I'd missed with the airbrush. But as soon as this primer dries, they're ready to get painted. Well, hey ho, here we have the dragon turtle primed, and on both sides, it's a Vallejo primer is pretty hardy. Like I can let it lean on something here and it doesn't automatically rub off. It will on the ridge or on the back where it's lying, of course, eventually if I keep it like that. But we have a base to start from, and we can yeah, maybe start painting this thing. Now, of course, since last time we saw each other, there has not been a mail day. It's all been weekends and holidays. So, of course, I cannot have received anything new. And you might have noticed when I showed you prepped stuff, I hadn't gotten around to the Wolf Riders from Game Zone miniatures. And that's because I thought, nah, I've prepped 8 minis from that same company, the demons and the dark elves. That'll do for now. I'll save the Wolf Riders for a little bit later, so I don't get, just worn out on painting the same thing. And instead, I've gone for some other monsters, and I feel like I don't need to prep very much for next week because this coming week is going to be a bit busy. I mean, it is technically a week off work, sort of, but I'm going to be traveling a little bit. I'm actually visiting family, keeping social distance, of course. And then we have a couple of work days at the end of this week, prepping for the school year starting again. It'll be just Zoom calls, so it's not, or actually Microsoft Teams, but Zoom call has become the shorthand parlance, I think, for all distant work at a distance. Anyway, so it's not going to be a full week of just painting, and I have a lot on my slate already. But I realized I had these 2 big monsters from Reaper Miniatures that I hadn't gotten around to, that I bought sometime last year, I believe. One of my monthly orders. We have the Chimera, who is I don't know if does it have, yeah, it has 3 heads. They're not all molded in one piece. You have to glue 2 of the heads on, and then batten the wings. And this interesting guy, the Hooked Hulk. This is actually, there is a choice of heads. There's a body cast in one piece, and there's 2 heads. The reason, when I look at them, is that one is clearly supposed to be a Umber Hulk head, and the other is a Hook Horror head. That's why it's the Hooked Hulk. It can be either. It's a chameleon. And I think I can already tell you that I'm going to paint this one as a Hook Horror, for the simple reason that I've already painted a bunch of Umber Hulks. I've got more Umber Hulk minis than I will ever need for play. So many different versions. While I only have one single Hook Horror miniature. It's the Reaper Bones one. It's called something else. I forget what it's called, but it's clearly it's very obviously a D&D Hook Horror. This one is not as obvious, but it's kind of like it with the proper head. It'll be a Hook Horror. Now, we'll have to see. I've actually already placed my Reaper order for January, and I'm interested to see how this pans out now with Brexit. Because they've warned that it's going to take a little bit longer to deliver to the EU because of Brexit. It's going to get stuck in border controls, everything you ship. Also, they're not... what they did previously was they charged VAT, value-added tax, directly at the point of sale. So, and only 20%. So I didn't need to pay any taxes or import duties for that. However, now they're not doing that anymore. I mean, there's supposed to be a system set up for UK, EU shipments, so they can prepay the tax. But that won't be ready until sometime this summer, and until then, it's going to be shipped. It's coming from outside the EU, which means it's going to be stuck in Swedish customs, and I'm going to have to pay 25% tax plus a handling charge, probably. This is worst case scenario. I'm not sure. I've placed this order as a test run, you could say. I want to see what happens. But the likelihood is that I'm not getting it until the very end of this month, if at all this month. It's going to take a while, probably. But I do want to keep doing my monthly orders from Reaper because they have a good promotion this year. You get bonus metal minis and a bonus bones mini every month because they want to publicize their new bones line. They have a third bones version now coming out called Bones USA, which they had the original bones. They have Bones Black, which is the harder plastic. Now Bones USA is, well, the name comes from it being manufactured in the USA instead of China. But it's supposed to also be a better grade of plastic. So I'm curious to see how that pans out and what it's like. Anyway, that was it. A jam-packed first episode of the year. Hope you agree. If you do, click like, thumbs up on this video, and subscribe if you haven't done so. Comment, share, but above all, be back in a week. On the same day of the week, same channel, same Dakian, who is now signing off.